Did you give them my details?
Because you give me your details.
Right, that's against the law. It's a breach of my personal data. You should not have done that. You have not. You should not have.
Welcome back to the channel, the place where we expose misconduct, break down police and legal encounters, defend your rights, and hold authority accountable. Today's footage comes from Auditor Brett Chamberlain, so make sure to check the link below, subscribe to his channel, and give him the credit he deserves. In this video, Brett brings another explosive coin audit incident. After filling up at a Sainsbury's petrol station, he attempted to pay using pure silver Royal Mint coins, but the staff refused to accept them, called police, and even tosses coins around carelessly. When the responding officer arrives, she clearly doesn't understand the law, gets almost everything wrong, and violates Brett's rights so badly that he ends up calling his lawyer on the spot. The situation becomes so embarrassing that even her own inspector later admits she needs retraining. Before we begin, a huge shout out to T for joining RTA Extra. In a time when our freedoms are constantly under pressure, your support keeps this mission alive. If you'd like to help, hit the join button. Now let's get into the video. White heavy checkmark interview.
To purchase that fuel.
What do you think legal tender actually means?
Pardon?
What do you think legal tender means?
I'm not into a debate about that. We're not accepting that as a tender here. It's a private company.
So you accept it as legal tender?
Yeah, but we can't bank that here. We don't have the means to bank it, so we don't accept it.
That's not my problem if you can't bank it, is it?
Well, yeah, but we don't accept it.
Well, you already have.
No, we haven't. You just put it down.
No, I gave it to the lady and she put it in her hand.
So, have you got any other means of payment?
That is my means of payment.
So, have you not got any other means?
But that is my means of payment.
Well,
Brett insists that the silver coins are his means of payment. The staff ask if he has anything else, but he repeats firmly that this is his payment method. And the moment the worker actually takes the coins into her hand, the debt is legally settled. Yes, stores can refuse Royal Mint coins before a transaction takes place, but here the transaction had already happened. The fuel was pumped, consumed, and a debt already existed. Once a debt exists, legal tender must be accepted. You cannot physically take lawful payment and then pretend it doesn't count because it's inconvenient to process. And that's exactly where both Sainsbury's and later the police officer went wrong. They mixed up what was convenient for them with what the law actually requires. White heavy check.
Another means of payment, or do we just need to process it as a civil recovery issue?
Well, I've paid.
Well, you haven't accepted it.
You don't need to. Well, you have accepted it.
You haven't.
Well, I haven't got the money, have I? You've got the money.
Well, we can give it back to you.
Well, I don't want it back. Are you a police officer?
Yes.
Right, can you identify yourself, please? What number are you?
1866, Bridgewater Police Station.
Mrs. Bradshaw, Miss Bradshaw.
That's correct. Miss.
Hi, Miss.
Hi.
Right.
So they've asked for another form of payment because
Yeah.
they can't accept this form. Have you got another form of payment on you?
That is my payment.
Right, okay, but that's not tender that they can accept.
Yes, it is.
They're asking for another form
Yes,
of
it
payment.
is. Let me explain something to you. When you was training to be a police officer at the beginning, yeah, you swore an oath, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what the first sentence of the oath was? It was to serve the Queen faithfully.
Correct.
Right. Now those coins are legal tender by royal proclamation of the Queen herself.
Okay.
Right. She's authorised within the legislation for the Royal Mint to create those coins, and when she proclaimed them to be legal tender, she said that they are legal tender.
Officer arrives. She simply repeats whatever the Sainsbury staff told her, as if store policy somehow outranks statute law. But Brett immediately cuts through it by reminding her the oath she swore to faithfully serve the crown. These coins weren't just random metal. They were legal tender under a royal proclamation issued through the Coinage Act 1971, Section 2. In the United Kingdom, it is a crown to the Royal Mint that determines legal tender, not supermarkets or individual employees. Brett wasn't giving opinions. He was quoting the very authority the officer is bound to uphold, and by connecting her oath to the law, he revealed just how mistaken she truly was.
Goods, and then pay after the event. When the fuel goes into my vehicle, it becomes my fuel, but then it becomes a debt. Okay, now the whole point of legal tender is that you can use it to pay a debt. As the Queen said, it's for payment throughout the United Kingdom. So they don't have to accept it, and if they was to give it back to me, it would negate the debt. Okay, it's not a police matter, it's a civil dispute. So really, you know, I mean, really, you should be telling them that it's a civil dispute.
I've just spoken to them and said about the document whereby you can come back and pay within 24 hours. They're saying that they don't want to accept the tender that you've given them. Is there an alternative method?
I'm not going to pay in any other way. I've already paid. Okay, and regarding that document, it's called a no means to pay document, isn't it? Right, I'm not filling out a no means to pay document when I have got the means to pay and I've paid. It's almost like an accept.
The officer then tries to push a no means to pay document onto Brett, a form intended for situations where someone genuinely cannot pay, like forgetting a wallet, having a car declined, or having no money at all. But Brett clearly did have a means to pay because he was offering legal tender backed by the Royal Mint. That fact alone completely removes the situation from a no means to pay category, meaning the officer and Sainsbury's were essentially attempting to rewrite the facts by pretending he had no way to settle the debt when he clearly did.
Although technically parked up on private land. I'll be going soon, as soon as I've finished dealing with it.
Is that the money?
No, I don't want that. If you give it back, then negates the debt. Did you see that, officer? Officer?
Yes,
I've paid and she's thrown the money back in.
They've asked for another form of
No,
payment.
she's thrown the money back in.
Okay.
Do you understand? Can you explain to them that that negates the debt? You can't pay someone and then they just throw the money back at you.
Do the paperwork.
Do you want to remind them of that?
There we are, so that's the details of the transaction, sir, okay?
Ma'am, can you show it to me? I paid it though.
Yeah, but it's unacceptable tender.
Officer, did you witness them give me the coins back, didn't you? And when I have paid, yeah?
I've witnessed them give you the coins back. I've also witnessed them say that it's unacceptable tender. They're not willing to accept it. Therefore, they've asked for another form of payment. You haven't provided it, so that's hence why they...
Because Brett was sitting in the driver's seat of his vehicle, he was legally obligated under the Road Traffic Act 1988 to provide his name and address when asked by an officer in uniform, and he complied because he had no lawful choice. But things immediately became suspicious when a Sainsbury's employee returned moments later holding a no means to pay form already filled out with Brett's details. Details Brett never gave them, never consented to share, and never approved for use, especially since he was clearly paying with legal tender. White heavy...
You keep them as evidence?
Not giving the coins back.
Well, you do realise it negates the debt anyway.
They haven't accepted
I don't want that either, and that's nothing to do with me. I would like a receipt though, please.
You've been
I
served
can't
with
give you a
it.
receipt, the transaction's still outstanding, I'm afraid.
Do they have to give me a receipt for VAT purposes?
You haven't paid for
I
it
have
because they
paid.
haven't accepted the tender.
I have paid. They had it in their hand. They threw it back in the car.
Okay, but they
You
haven't
witnessed they
accepted,
threw it
they
back
haven't
in.
accepted the tender, so therefore there isn't a
So
payment.
it's for, as I said to you earlier, the Queen said that
I
these...
understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
and you've obviously done your research.
Yeah.
What they're saying is it's not acceptable form of tender. They're not accepting it, therefore the debt hasn't been paid.
But you're an
hence
officer of the
why-
law, aren't you? You're a sergeant or just a PC?
PC. Hence
Yeah.
why they've given you this, because they want you to pay in another acceptable form of tender.
So what do you think, if they said that they didn't want to accept a £50 note and threw the £50 notes back in, yeah, and then gave me that, would you think that's reasonable?
Well, you
Or £20
have to offer
notes.
another form of payment.
Imagine paying a bill with a £50 note, having it thrown back into your car, and then being told you now owe more because you supposedly didn't pay. That's essentially what happened here. Once legal tender is offered, the debt is discharged, meaning Brett fulfilled his obligation. The refusal was Sainsbury's failure, not his. Yet the officer still didn't understand and kept repeating that he should offer another form of payment, which isn't the law. It's just compliance with store preference. And by siding with convenience instead of legality, she transformed a settled civil matter into a criminal accusation that had no legal foundation. White heavy check.
Okay, and I went in there to pay them, and they said, "Oh, sorry, we don't accept those." Right? Yeah, but even though this is theoretical, yeah, we don't accept those. And I say, "Well, I've paid, and I've left the money on the counter," and they came in from back in the car. Would you still be saying that it's up to me to pay in some other way?
But they just said that's an acceptable form of tender.
Yeah, but it's not down to them as to whether it's acceptable or not. It's down to the state.
They don't deem that acceptable.
It's down to the state. It's not for them to
right.
choose.
Well, they've served you with this. They haven't accepted payment.
I don't want that. That's nothing to do with me.
Right, okay, well, you've seen it. She's showing you it.
Yep.
Okay?
I don't know what it is. I don't even know what it is. What is it?
It's
I haven't
because
signed any. Why is there no means to pay form or something like that? Why? How did they get my details? Did you give them my details?
Because you've given me your details.
Right, that's against the law. It's a breach of my personal data. You should not have done that.
Paid.
You have not. You should not have done that.
You haven't paid.
You know that you should not have done
The officer held up the completed form. Brett immediately noticed his personal details and demanded to know how the store obtained them. Shockingly, the officer admitted she gave his information to Sainsbury's because he had already provided it to her, a serious breach of GDPR and data protection laws. She obtained his details under the Road Traffic Act, which strictly limits their use to road traffic matters, not civil payment disputes. Passing his personal data to a private business was completely unlawful, yet instead of acknowledging the breach, she kept repeating the same false claim: "You haven't paid." This wasn't just incompetence, it was misconduct and misuse of police powers. White had
trouble for that, don't you? No.
You're not.
You know that you're going to be in trouble for that, don't you? Because you're not allowed to give them my personal details.
Yes.
Breach of my data. Police giving private corporation my details. They threw the money back in the car. We'll be lodging a complaint with 101, I think.
In Brett's update, he explains how the complaint unfolded, and the outcome is astonishing. The police claim the officer did nothing wrong, effectively supporting a scenario where a private corporation refused legal tender, threw it back at a customer, and used police-obtained personal data to create a fraudulent document. Brett points out that this allowed Sainsbury's to fill out a no-means-to-pay form without consent, forming a contract he never agreed to. His lawyer confirmed he had a case, though it wasn't worth pursuing in court, but the fallout was major. Even the officer's own inspector admitted she would be retrained, which speaks volumes. The incident shows how a simple act of paying for fuel turned into a masterclass in failed policing. Brett stayed calm, factual, and razor-sharp, while the officer repeatedly sided with corporate convenience over actual law. Her unlawful sharing of his information alone justified a serious complaint. In the end, Brett walked away having educated thousands about their rights, proving why it's critical to stand firm, know the law, and never allow anyone, whether a store or an officer, to twist legality for their own convenience.